What's up, Geminites? It's your boy Gem Mint. It's Wednesday, November 27th. We are going to talk about today's new comic books, spoiler free, so stay tuned. Alright, guys, happy Wednesday and new comic book day. Got a nice little stack of books here. First, let's do some cleanup from last week. My shop was late on ordering these books. So from Boom Studios, we have Something is Killing the Children, issue 3. I'm loving this run. This is by James Tynion IV. And our main character, the monster hunter, she is in police custody. Awesome scene between her and the officer interrogating her. She actually ends up interrogating him and kind of gives us a little bit of a hint as to what she's been dealing with in other cities with these monsters that are killing the children. It seems like she's up against a bigger monster, maybe that she hasn't faced before in this city. So, loving this run and can't wait to continue reading it. Last one from last week, I think, is the DC Black Label, The Question. I don't really know anything about The Question or any of the characters here. I think he's an older character, but it's a very, like, Gotham City Batman type of vibe. The Question is this masked vigilante who's got, like, a Rorschach type of mask, but it's blank, who is also, like, a TV kind of news host by day. Kind of a mafia mixed with politics kind of vibe, but a very cool story here with the history of The Question and if there have been multiple questions before him or if it was just him. We don't know. So I'm interested to keep reading this. Black Label's doing great stuff. I love Jeff Lemire. I don't really know anything what's going on with the characters, but the story's kind of interesting, so we'll keep it up. And I'm not really sure if Shapes was from this week or last week. Shapes, an independent book from Jason Brubaker. I'm not sure if any relation to Ed, by Cave Comics. But what caught me on this was the Previews World synopsis of the book, which is basically regular kids that tap into video games, kind of like Ready Player One. Like you have like an avatar. He's kind of like a nerd in real life, but he's a social media popular type of character. And it looks like the video game world that he's in is kind of merging with his real world. And it's pretty interesting. I'm going to continue to read it. Jumping over to DC, we have more of the Dark Multiverse, Tales from the Dark Multiverse. This is Infinite Crisis. I didn't realize. I think I missed the Nightfall one that they had of this. I got to try to hunt that down. But I still like the Death of Superman one the best so far. This one was kind of cool. This one is kind of like, instead of, what was his name? Max Lord killing Blue Beetle. What if Blue Beetle killed him? And it just spawns this whole separate timeline in this dark multiverse on what would have happened if the Blue Beetle kind of took matters into his own hands. It got pretty fast-paced and exciting towards the middle and the end, and I ended up liking this issue. I did feel like it was a little bit slow at first, though. All right, then we have another one from DC's Black Label. This is Last God, issue 2, which seems to be really the first issue of this storyline here. Book 1 of the Fellspire Chronicles. I guess issue 1 was more of a world-building kind of thing. And I don't know how I feel about this. It feels like medieval times, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings type of vibe. They're going against these kind of gods or creatures that are kind of like tree creatures, kind of like Resident Evil Nemesis type of creatures or Resident Evil 4 type of creatures. I don't really have any attachment to any of the characters. It's just kind of like, cool olden times with monsters. I don't really love it. I'll probably pick it up. I'll give it a couple more issues and see if it picks up at all. But again, no really ties to any of the characters happening in here or what the story even is. All right, John Constantine, Hellblazer #1. I like this issue. It was classic Constantine. I love him kind of rolling up at this bar. You can tell he hasn't been here in a while. The bartender's a woman, which is kind of new for him. He gets kicked out of the bar for telling like a racy joke or whatever. And she picks him out right away. Hey, you must not be from around here because this is like a hipster microbrewery and you're telling those type of jokes or whatever. It was a cool interaction, man. She's vaping. She's like, you're smoking cigarettes. I could tell you, you must not have been here in a while. Where have you been? Jail or whatever. So pretty cool. The Supernatural, and I'm not really sure what's going on with this storyline either, man. I definitely like the Constantine stuff. I just read it. Don't really remember the plot like with the monsters. So that's not really a good sign but the writing was good. All right, another one for Black Label from Joe Hill Comics. This is Basket Full of Heads issue 2. Issue 1 was definitely world building and telling about the little island, the community, and it ended with, okay, these 4 escaped convicts are in the house or whatever. This one was an action-packed, fun issue, and my suspicions were correct on what's kind of happening here. I'm not going to give spoilers, but we get a head in a basket, and we kind of can see why, although the characters in the book don't really know why yet. So, interesting kind of supernatural take on this kind of indie type of book. I'm digging it, though. I like the issue, too. All right, let's jump over to Marvel really quick. Again, another shout out to Marvel Comics. They sent us these 4 books to do a review on. So I dropped an early video on these yesterday, and I did a review. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and do so. Conan 2099 #1 was a surprise hit for me. I really enjoyed it. I think it was fun writing, a cool story, and with both of these 2099 books, not really tied in. Oh, it doesn't seem to the storyline that's going on in Amazing Spider-Man. Same with Punisher 2099. We just kind of get a glimpse on what's up with that future, what's going on with Public Eye versus like the Thorites or like the community of people that like worship Thor, and we get an origin of a new Punisher 2099. Those issues were okay. Fantastic Four Grand Design. I wouldn't really read this like I mentioned in the review, and I kind of showed some pages here. Kind of like a golden age vibe on Silver Age stories, and I've read the stories in Silver Age, so I wasn't really feeling this. I know a lot of people are into the Grand Design books, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. And Scream, Curse of Carnage 1, I was really digging this. We just are basically getting a new ongoing with the character who used to be Mayhem, but now she's Scream. And it's interesting. I really like her as a character. So it's kind of tying in like the Agent Venom world with this Donny Cates Venom world. So I was digging it. The artwork was great. I think it's one that if you're into the symbiote stuff, you might as well add it to the pull. Fallen Angels 2. We got a ton of Dawn of X books in this week's pull. I'm digging Fallen Angels. I loved it. It wasn't my pick of the week. It might have been. I don't remember when issue 1 came out. I was surprised to see people weren't digging this. I love the artwork. I love the paneling with the kind of pink boxes that they do. I love the interaction with Psylocke and X-23. X-23 is kind of wanting her to mentor her a little bit. And I like the kind of disagreement with young Cable. It's funny because they're in Krakoa and they're always dancing around a fire or something like that. And young Cable's like, you want to go do this mission or you want to dance around a little bit more? Like, what are we doing? So I really enjoyed that. They didn't really have any of the Apoth stuff, but more interaction between Psylocke and Sinister, which was dope, and overall good issue. It didn't really move forward much, though, right? Who are they going after here? They're just going to go after some kind of sweatshop, child labor factory, so nothing really tying in with Psylocke's daughter or the Apoth villain. Fantastic Four Negative Zone issue 1. I got this thinking it might tie in with Annihilation Scourge. It doesn't seem to. It kind of feels like it ties in a little bit more with the Fantastic Four ongoing, which I'm not caught up on. But it contains 2 stories. The first Negative Zone story is a cool little one-shot. Reed Richards had left some bacteria in a sphere in the Negative Zone when they first found the zone in the 60s, right? In our time. Through the theory of relativity or what have you, it basically evolved over trillions of years and started calling toward him by beeping a tracker he had on it, and they go to the Negative Zone. It's super evolved, whatever. Then there's a backup story here, which was terrible, with the Fantastics, which is like a bootleg version of Fantastic Four, where you have like a nice guy, a superpowered girl, a diamond-shaped thing, which is a girl, and a stretchy 2D guy. He's like a flat guy. Terrible story. I don't know what the hell the point of that was, or really what the point of this one-shot was, to be honest with you. I don't think this is really worth the buy, to keep it real. $5 too. I don't know. I like Annihilus. He was really not even in it. He was on the cover. He was in it a little bit. Yondu number 2. Yo, surprisingly like this issue. I'm happy too, because I wasn't feeling issue 1. This was going to be the one to determine if I was going to continue reading this. And at first, the first couple pages, I was like, here we go again with the bullshit. I wasn't feeling it. But it really picked up. I really liked it. Yondu runs into an X. that future version of himself or his future ancestor 1,000 years in the future. He's got this holy grail, which we find out what it is and what it's made of, and he opens it at the end. But we don't know what happens, and it's not really a spoiler because we don't know what the consequences are of that. Dope issue. I was digging it. I like Yondu #2. I always read him as like the movie version, which is what he looks like too. All right, Venom 20. Yo, I was really waiting for this issue. I thought, okay, Absolute Carnage kind of was anticlimactic. This is going to be like the epilogue that answers all the questions, or Noel is here, or whatever. Yo, just anticlimactic. That's what it was. Although this was one of the stronger reads of this week's poll, it was just because of the story in itself. It was really the maker Reed Richards kind of debriefing somebody on what the events were and what happened with the codices, what happened with Dylan. But it seems like this whole big event and like nothing really happened. I mean, I guess maybe it's still going to happen, but it didn't happen here, and everything, the story's over with. We have Venom Island for the next issue. No more Absolute Carnage issues or tie-ins, so it was just a huge letdown, man. I don't know if it was because it just was hyped up more than it needed to be. I mean, it did have a lot of tie-ins, which would have alluded to the fact that this was a big event. But, yeah, Carnage is gone, right, from last week, Absolute Carnage 5. I guess Noel is free, but we'll see what happens with that. New Mutants #2. So, unpopular opinion. I'm not a big fan of Bill, how do you say his name, Sienkiewicz? I'm not a big fan of that, like, early New Mutants run. You know, I didn't really like New Mutants until, like, Liefeld and them jumped on with Cable and Deadpool and stuff towards the end of that run. So this was the last book that I read out of this haul. I saved it for last because I was just kind of dreading it. And I actually really like this issue. Pleasantly surprised with it, man. So the New Mutants are captured from the events of with the Starjammers in issue 1. And you have a lot of... Man, what's Sunspot's name? I forget his name, man. Rob? No. I forget his name. He's kind of narrating it. He's got good dialogue. It's funny. He's a mover and a pusher. You know, he gets his trial in outer space really fast. He gets his lawyers on deck and everything. And that doesn't really work out so well for him. But a lot of cool reuniting in this issue. The dialogue was good. It wasn't cheesy or campy. And I was digging New Mutants. At the end of it, you know, nothing really major happens in this issue. But they do get a mission. And they're kind of bound to this mission. Which makes more sense if you read this. So it was cool. The last issue, and you guessed it, my pick of the week, X-Force 2. Man, this was post the assassination of Professor X, and kind of what the epiphany I had while doing the review for, I don't know if it was X-Force 1 or another Dawn of X title last week, came to fruition in this book. So I was like, okay, I almost missed it, but I caught what Hickman was trying to do. So, you know, they're dealing with the aftermath of that. Wolverine's pissed. Him and Kid Omega, which I'm not used to calling him Kid Omega, Quentin Quire, kind of are investigating who the hell sent these assassins. We find out kind of what they're made out of. We're going to see what's up with Professor X, man. Are they going to be able to reboot him and take him from the cloud consciousness and give him a body? You would think they would be able to give him a body that wasn't Phantom X and that wasn't like wheelchair bound. So we'll see what happens with that. But this was my pick of the week. It was just the most interesting. It had the most stakes, which is what I'm big on. Don't give me no one shot. Like, give me something that has some stakes to the overall story here, you know? Love the Wolverine and Quentin Quire stuff. This was my favorite book this week. All right, guys. So hopefully we got through that without spoilers. You know, sometimes it's hard to describe a book without messing up some of the plot, but try to keep it pretty vague for you guys so that you can decide what to pick up today. Let me know what you thought about today's comics in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed for the channel for more daily content. I might even drop a 40K subscriber giveaway video later on today because we're probably going to hit 40K today. And I have an idea of pretty much of how I want to run it. So hit that bell. Be sure you're subscribed so you can be here for the giveaway details. And stay minty fresh, guys. Peace.